And a very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Issues and Attitudes. My name is Jeff Owens, General Manager at WEIU. My co-host, Michelle Bravo.
Hello.
And today we're talking to Sarah Bush Lincoln's Sasha Hollman. She's the Post-Acute Director. Welcome, Sasha.
Thank you for having me.
And Jenn Roberts. She's the Hospice Manager out at Sarah Bush.
Hi. Happy to be here.
We're going to have you move that mic a little closer to you,
Okay.
Jenn. All right. So, Jenn and Sasha, I think we'll just start off by asking, in general, what each of you does based on your job title at Sarah Bush. And we'll let Sasha go first.
So, Sasha Hollman, I'm the Post-Acute Care Director, and I've been in that role for about a year. And so I think a director role, when you're a leader, it's kind of a jack of all trades. Just depends on the day. Obviously, with, coaching staff and mentoring them, looking at referrals and the business model, there's lots of budgeting and financial aspects. And then just making sure that we're delivering that compassionate, quality care to our patients.
And I'm Jenn Roberts, the Hospice Manager. I've been in this role about 6 months. Found my passion in hospice about 6 years ago. And just managing the day-to-day ins and outs of our Sarah Bush Lincoln Hospice team, following up on referrals, just making sure the staff have everything they need to provide that care to our patients at end of life.
And I know the new hospice house is it being built? Where can you give us an update where we're at?
So construction has started. Construction started in August. We're very excited. Drove by it actually last week, and the framing is up, so you can actually see that it is going to be a structure. So it really still in the planning phases, having a lot of meetings to figure out how the ins and outs, the day-to-day is going to go. But slating to open in September of next year, so we're very excited.
And both of you being nurses, so how do you couple being in charge of something and being a nurse, or how does that work there?
Go ahead. I mean, it definitely plays into our leadership styles, just all of those nursing, the nursing qualities,
Process
the things that you learn as a nurse, and then bringing that into the leadership role definitely plays into our style of leadership.
So do you know how many rooms are going to be in there? I know we talked about it like 2 weeks ago with the CEO. Is that what
Yeah, Kim was here, yeah.
Kim was here, yeah. 8 rooms. There'll be 8 rooms. And the goal of the hospice house is really to provide that end-of-life care in a home-like setting. So it's going to be beautiful. It really is going to look just like a home. Have a kitchen, have some quiet rooms, have a library, a space for the kids. It'll have its own little chapel, meditation room.
Okay. So it's like it's not just like a little bedroom.
It's not going to be, no.
So it's like how would you say the layout is?
So you walk into, it's going to have a large entryway, like a living room, a formal sitting room, and then a living room area for families to relax and spend time together, couches. And then, like I said, there'll be an open kitchen for the public to use, cook meals, have get-togethers with your family.
It reminds me of like an assisted living facility.
Okay, so like a work type.
Yeah. So that community area and everything where your family can go, but also private bathroom, room, all of that.
Each patient will have a private room.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sasha, can you tell us about how people transition from being in the hospital to either going to hospice or a care facility?
Well, it's usually physician based, and like a end of life diagnosis, and really at that point in time where we're looking more for quality than quantity, and we then send referrals, over to hospice, and then we evaluate. Our medical director evaluates along with our nursing staff for appropriateness, and then goes through what hospice looks like, because hospice is so much more than just the nursing care. It is, we have a chaplain, we have a social worker, so we have bereavement for the family after their passing. So it provides lots of different services.
And you said mostly it's doctor related. When you talk when the doctor talks to the family, can you take us a little bit through that process of how hard it is to tell people that they got to prepare for end of life?
It is difficult, because it doesn't matter if somebody is 30 or 95. We're never ready to lose our loved ones, and I think it's just making sure that people know what to expect, and people want to know what really is happening, as opposed to just
being caught off guard.
Yeah, being caught off guard with, it really does help you prepare for that transition.
And Jenn, go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead.
No, you had your thought.
I just, going back to that, I know that sometimes even providers, we think of doctors being the head of the care team and just the all-powerful, but they do struggle with those end-of-life conversations too. So like I said, when I found my passion 6 years ago in hospice, it's so important to me that the end of life be treated just as special as the beginning of life. We have baby showers and gender reveals, and the beginning of life is so special and important, and we take care of those new mothers as much as we can. And I feel like we have this chance, this opportunity at the end of life to make this the most special and most comfortable scenario we can. And sometimes people are given that opportunity to decide how the end of life goes for them or their loved one. And that's what hospice is about, is being able to help that patient make those choices. The doctor's just there to give the opportunity. Here is this terrible situation. There's not a lot more we can do, but there is hospice. And so if you choose, you can have this comfort, you can have this peace, you can have this help wherever you're at, whether you're going home, whether you're going to a facility, we can follow you there.
Is there anything that stands out that people have done as in terms of some of the services to make it just as good as humanly possible, for hospice, end of life?
I feel like my staff do that every day.
Yeah.
I really do.
I know.
So Sarah Bush Lincoln Hospice works off of a case management model where we have local nurses in certain areas that follow their same patients from start of care to end of care. So they really form that bond with the patients' families. They're their nurse, whether they're there twice a week, 3 times a week, or every day, you see your nurse and you become, the nurse kind of becomes part of the family. And the CNA as well, and Sasha mentioned our social workers. It's a whole team. It's a team effort, and each patient has their care team that makes sure they have everything they need.
You mentioned twice that 6 years ago is when you found your calling. I have to ask, was it a life-altering moment or what?
It truly, it was just. I kept praying for God to put me where He wanted me to go, and there kept being. I actually worked for Sasha up on a medical surgical unit at the hospital, and
we've been together a few years now.
Yep. And I kept saying I needed to do something, and there just kept being a job opening in hospice, and I kept seeing it, and no, I don't think that's what He means. But no, I don't know. It just if for months the position kept being there, and I finally listened. I finally listened. So it sounds cheesy, but really, I did not choose this. When I went to nursing school, if you would have told me, for one, when I graduated high school, that I was going to be a nurse, I wouldn't have believed you. But when I went to nursing school, I had no intentions of being a hospice nurse. And so it truly was put on me to be here.
Remember 15 minutes ago when she was shy and worried about the cameras?
Yeah, I know.
I think we're good. I think we're good.
Okay.
No, it's a compliment.
Okay.
Sasha, what about you? Did you have a moment that you knew you wanted to be in this kind of field and help people?
Nursing in general has just been a passion for me. My mom had malignant melanoma when I was about 14, and I saw the difference in the way that she felt about her diagnosis, the way that she felt about just how she was dealing with everything. And I saw that from the nurses more than anything. And so that's when I decided that nursing was probably where I needed to end up. And never did I think I was going to be in this field either. But the impact that we have to be able to make this the best experience for people is just amazing. And Sarah Bush Lincoln in general is just wonderful.
Okay, Michelle?
So you guys mentioned that it's you can leave. So do people choose to leave and go home? Because I know certain people wouldn't want to necessarily pass away in a hospital.
Okay, so hospice can happen anywhere.
Okay.
So yes, if they choose to have hospice in their home, we follow them to their home.
Okay.
And there are some people who choose not to have hospice, and that's okay too. People pass every day without hospice. We just want everyone to know that the service is here, should they choose.
Okay.
We can definitely make it better for them. But we don't often provide hospice in the hospital, actually.
Yeah,
that's
right.
a common misconception that if they're in the hospital and the doctor's talking hospice, Doesn't necessarily happen right then before they leave. A lot of times they do go home, and we meet them when they get there and get them set up from there.
When the hospice house opens and they have the ability to go from Sarah Bush to the Sarah Bush Hospice House, are they, I don't want to use the word stuck, but are they free to go home or visit, or do any visiting from there?
So how it works with the hospice house is there are requirements to be admitted to the hospice house. They would need additional support, something that couldn't maybe be provided at home. Of course, you know, there can be, you know, private pay patients. Yes, you're not, everything with hospice is ever changing and is completely dependent on what the patient wants. So if the patient wants to eat a pizza that day, or if the patient never wants to eat again, it's whatever the patient wants. So if the patient or the family feels like they can take the patient home, then they're more than welcome to. Nothing in hospice is set in stone.
It's very individualized care.
Okay.
Okay, so how was hospice kind of looking during COVID? I know that there was like a lot of like issues with that, with like not having a lot of workers for that.
I just think healthcare in general, nothing could have prepared us for COVID, and we're still kind of reeling from that.
Yes.
As far as hospice, we just made adjustments as we could. I feel like our hospice personally has bounced back really well. We are fully staffed. We are very safe. Still currently in the situation we're in, wearing masks in the patient homes and facilities and things. But we rolled with the punches is all I can say. Some just took it day by day, really.
We were very fortunate to have the support of our organization as well, kind of guiding those principles and just guidelines and helping us navigate through that to where we were able to still focus on the nursing care and the hospice care as opposed to all of the COVID guidelines.
Yeah.
There's still nursing shortages nationwide. Is that affecting Sarah Bush at all as well?
Most definitely. It is everywhere. We continue to recruit and focus on retention. You know, nursing is going to be very interesting over the next few years of how things change. It's going to, I think, change healthcare some with travel nursing and, you know, the cost of that. And we are very fortunate at Sarah Bush Lincoln to have lots of long-term nurses just because it is such a great organization to work for.
And to speak to that, I do feel like the organization as a whole, all of the nurses support the other nurses. You know, if there is an area struggling, there's a lot of just incentive and reaching out to the other members of the team. Hey, we need help, and they get response, and people picking up in areas they wouldn't normally work in, and just everyone helping everyone out to make sure the patients get the best care.
Speaking of EIU students as well, you said there's some job opportunities for volunteers and jobs right now at Sarah Bush. Can either of you talk about that?
So our hospice program, we do have volunteers that can do all sorts of things for the patients. And so we're always actively recruiting volunteers to come help hospice patients. And that could be anything, whether it's just visiting with them, maybe doing a small project with them, anything you can think of, maybe cleaning up around their house a little bit, sitting with them, reading with them. A lot of our patients, sometimes people, you know, think of a hospice patient as a grandma laying in bed sleeping and not waking up, but a lot of our patients are still up walking around, talking, enjoy conversation. We do get younger patients that come on that maybe would identify with younger people coming to visit them. So our volunteer program is always looking for volunteers to come in. We also have opportunities that don't even involve the patients. If you're not comfortable going to sit with a patient, we have, you know, filing or making paper packets or just little projects in the office that if a student or, you know, anyone listening feels like I'd like to help in a way, maybe you don't feel that you could be hands-on with the patient, there's a lot of opportunities in the hospice world for volunteers.
Is there like a link or anything to get to that?
Everything with our hospice is through our 800 number. So it's 1-800-454-4055. You call that number day or night, someone's going to answer and they'll get you to the right person.
With being nurses, and when you're recruiting nurses, so you have an open forum now when you're on TV, radio, on YouTube, and everywhere this show ends up going, what would you say is the best thing about being a nurse, Sasha?
the impact that you make on the patients and the families, and just that I feel like I take more away from the patients than I give a lot of times, of just that seeing people at their best and at worst, and that vulnerable, and being able to change that experience. Healthcare is scary, and being able to, it is, and it's complicated, and it's a different language, and being able to help guide people through that process, to me, is the number one. That's why I went into leadership.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to being a nurse?
That was a perfect answer, but I was going to say
That's why she's your boss.
That's why she's the boss. Yep. No, and really being able to teach someone something they didn't know, and in a way relieve their fears, I think would be just the best thing I can do, is give someone a little bit, just a little piece, a tidbit maybe they didn't know, but this is why it is the way it is. A lot of nursing is teaching, so I do love that part.
When you see a new nurse come on at Sarah Bush and they're younger, maybe just got out of nursing school, is there that, do you ever take them into the corner and say, here's a piece of advice, or do you let them kind of go on their own a little bit, or what?
I feel like nursing, when I went to nursing school, probably you too, they would always tell you, nurses eat their young, and fortunately, we do not see that culture at Sarah Bush. It is very much helping each other along, and I think that everyone kind of gives those, okay, this is what you should look for, here's a way to help this out, here's a way you can do that a little better. I think we're really good. I like to help them along with, okay, you're seeing it this way. This is how they teach it in nursing school, but let me tell you, this is how it is.
Real life's always different in every job.
Real life is very different.
Absolutely.
Is there a typical day being a nurse, or is every day like, they make you go on the radio, or they make you do this or that?
That's a little bit of a different side of nursing, right? No, I think every day is about the compassion, and just the critical thinking of how this looks for this patient, or of individualizing the care. And that's with any kind of nursing, from hospice to pediatric nursing. It's that specialized, what am I worried about with this patient and how that looks. So, but otherwise, it's who knows.
Is the toughest part of your job telling somebody that their relative isn't going to make it, or that they need hospice care for end of life? Is that the toughest part or not? I think from the outside looking in, that would be the toughest part.
Yeah.
So what I've always said is that they come to me because they already know that.
Okay.
I'm here because they have already been told that. So to me, the hardest part of being a hospice nurse is if that patient isn't comfortable. Because that is our goal, is to make them the most comfortable. So when I think of any bad day I had in hospice, it was that I was really struggling to get this patient everything they needed right then. And sometimes you do have certain delays that you just wish you could make it happen right then, even if it's a matter of you've already put the medicine in their mouth and you're just waiting for it to work.
Yeah.
That I feel like is the hardest part of the job. Or just where that a patient needs hospice but they aren't ready for it yet. That's a hard pill for me to swallow. But no, they come to hospice when they're ready. And that's completely, everything is individualized. So we'll be there when they're ready for us.
Has there been like a moment or a situation where you were just kind of like, this is where I was meant to be, like this is like how that this was the career for me?
Like when I had that moment?
Just like a situation.
Like recently.
All the time. I mean, well, I'll tell you, I was a nurse in the field for so many years, and then 6 months ago moved into leadership. And I'll tell you, Wednesday we had a big staff meeting, and I'll tell you, if you have a boss out there and you think your boss loves having staff meetings, they don't. I promise you. And I tell you, I have an amazing team, and I had a big staff meeting planned with so much information. It was important information, but you just worry, how is everyone going to receive this? And we always start our meeting with bravo moments. Hey, does anyone want to recognize anyone? And I bet we spent 30 minutes giving each other bravos. And that was set it off positive. The meeting went wonderful. It was very positive. And so at the end of the day, I was just thankful. It was Thanksgiving and everything. And some of the staff shared back that they were thankful for the staff meeting. And I mean, like I said, nobody loves staff meetings, but it was a really good, so that was the most recent, like, yeah. Thank
That's
you.
good. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Sasha, have you had one of those? Or
Honestly, it's probably very similar because Jenn was a very new leader when she came, and when I put her and chose her for this position, you want to see people grow, and seeing what she has done with our team of just that collaboration and teamwork. It's like, okay, this is why I am in leadership, is because I get to put people in places that they make the biggest difference, of how we impact.
Is it tough to stay motivated and in a good mood every day when you know what you're dealing with?
Most definitely, I think, but honestly, like, we work with some of the best people I've ever met. Our community is so supportive of Sarah Bush Lincoln and our hospice program. I really, at the end of the day, even on the very bad days, I leave loving my job.
That's good. And you both live in Effingham, so you got that half hour to let the job go away. People don't understand that. I'm the Charleston Mattoon. Even in that 10 to 15 minutes, you do decompress a little bit so you don't take it home as much. Is there been somebody that's been your mentor that just gave you an unbelievable piece of advice?
Oh, man.
And you can't say her. I mean,
I have to
along the way.
Just a lot. I mean, when I started, I do want to say, I mean, Sasha really has been a leadership mentor to me, because like I said, we worked together even several years ago, but in hospice, when I started, there were several nurses who had been there years and years. They were the epitome of hospice, and they have since moved on and retired and things. But I had one very special nurse, and her name was Penny, and she really, everything she told me was Bible and has served me well. And one of the things she told me was, you can say no, someone else will do it. And so just teaching me, really, in hospice, you have to have boundaries. And that was huge to me, because in hospice, you can definitely wear yourself out. But she taught me so much. And I think that was the biggest thing, is just letting someone else take over. You can't do it all. And I think as nurses, sometimes we do feel like we can do everything. They need us right now. So just being able to step back and set those boundaries and take care of yourself too, that's the way it's been.
Do you have a mentor? What about you, Sasha?
Sandy Miller is our chief nursing officer, and she has mentored me since I was just a new nurse, and really kind of saw that leadership in me. And there was a couple of things that she told me, is that if you set the bar high for people will live up to that. And I've always I've always had high expectations, because we take care of people, and that just has always stuck with me, because it's kind of similar with children. If I have these expectations that my kid gets straight A's, then but if I expect them to get C's, and so just that not settling for mediocrity, and just making sure as a leader you're the one that supports to make sure they have the resources to do those things.
When the hospice house opens, how will it be different than other places that are similar? I mean, what's going to, I don't want to say sit it above, or but it's going to make it that special place?
Well, it's the only hospice house in downstate Illinois. So there really, truly is nothing like it. The nearest one's probably St. Louis. Peoria does have one. So again, it's going to be that 24-hour one-on-one nursing care with a hospice nurse. You have a nurse that is specifically trained to manage patients at end of life, but it's going to be in a home-like setting. So there's not really anything like that.
Oh, wow, I did not know that part of it.
Yeah.
And how many new employees will that bring to the area?
We're not sure on our staffing model yet, so we are expecting jobs to be posted probably around between February and April. So be on the lookout for that. But
we're talking to Sasha Hollman and Jenn Roberts from Sarah Bush Lincoln about hospice care and post-acute care. We have a few minutes left. Michelle, do you have something on your mind?
Yeah, I was going to ask, what is something that, since there are going to be a lot of job openings coming up, that you would recommend to a future nurse who may not be sure if they want to go into hospice? Like, how would you kind of sell it to them?
Well, anyone who is interested in hospice, we offer a ride along. So anyone who reaches out to me that thinks I would be interested in being a hospice nurse or a hospice CNA or a hospice social worker, we encourage them to spend a day with one of our hospice staff just to see what the day-to-day brings, because the day is every day is different.
It's just different
Yep.
than what it looks
Yep.
like in theory.
Yep.
We offer that with home care as well.
Oh, you do?
With
Okay.
home health nursing.
So what do we with home health care? It's different than hospice because hopefully they're going to get better, for lack of a better way to say it. So is there anything that we need to know from that end that you want to talk about?
That really is just home health is growing because people are not wanting to be in nursing home facilities, and that home health is designed for those people who get out of the hospital or have a surgery or something that makes it very taxing for them to get out of the home to go to physical therapy, to see nursing. So we do a ton of wound care, IV antibiotics, people who need long term, and so we are seeing that field grow.
Okay. We have a couple minutes left. Is there anything else that you want to talk about from Sarah Bush's point of view that we didn't get to today? Before I ask unrelated questions.
What about bereavement services?
Oh, we did talk. I think we touched on bereavement. We do offer bereavement services to all of our patients' families, but that is something that we do offer to the community free of charge as well. So even if you have not had a patient on, or a family member or anyone on hospice services, if you are, especially during this holiday season, just struggling with some sort of a loss, and feel like you could use some additional support, we do offer grief groups, one-on-one phone calls. We do have 2 awesome qualified bereavement counselors. And again, that's a service we offer free of charge to everyone in the community.
Very, very good. All right, let's ask some fun questions or different kind of questions.
Sure.
Is your Christmas tree up? Yes or no? All through.
Absolutely not.
No.
No, no.
No.
Do you care about the World Cup?
Not even a little.
Okay, they've been advertising it so much. I feel like I should. I feel like it's a big
I've
deal.
been watching all the games.
You have been?
Yeah, well, there was a bunch
Okay,
of them
I didn't know
over,
it
like,
started, so-
Thanksgiving breaks. Yeah, so I've been watching all of them.
America needs to win tomorrow. I will say
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Favorite
I'll root
Christmas
for them.
song?
Probably Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Okay, Little Drummer Boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't really like Christmas music, so all I'm thinking about is like probably Mariah Carey's song.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Anything-
can get on board with that.
I love pentatonics.
There
Anything
you go.
pentatonic.
The next one's for these 2 only, because you'll understand why. Favorite hospital food at Sarah Bush?
Oh, the hamburger bar.
The hamburger bar.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna say it's the chicken strip basket day.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yep. That's always got a long line out for the cafeteria.
So we've dispelled that myth. Eggnog, yes or no?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
What is wrong
I
with
don't
you
think
three?
I've ever even
No.
had it.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have a go-to Christmas snack or treat?
Puppy
No.
chow.
Oh,
that's
puppy
good.
chow? No, I don't.
I don't think so.
All right. Well, we're out of time. Thank you so much. It was great to meet you two. And if you need anything, you can get a hold of them at Sarah Bush Lincoln. That is Sasha Hollman and Jenn Roberts. We are WEIU.